If the British Empire and its Commonwealth last for 1,000 years, men will still say this was their finest hour.
We stand for Queen,
country, and video games. BRB UK.
Worse teeth,
better accents. Hello, and indeed, ahoy hoy, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 319 of BRB UK. We'd like to think of ourselves as the premier source of video gaming news on the internet, but we're not. We're just a couple of blokes who have a chat and just happen to have some mics turned on at the same time. I am Dan. Hello.
Hello.
And I'm joined this week by Tim. Hello, Tim.
Hello.
Hello. LW, sir.
Yeah, let's avoid that subject.
Yeah, all right, okay, Tim is yeah. That is yeah out of stuff. Well done, Tim. Congratulations.
Good.
Would be again. There's no Coleman this week, and there's no Kev or no Dearmed,
No.
so it's me and Tim.
Well, to be fair, we were slightly better organised. We probably could have got another person in. It was kind of a slight miscommunication between me and Cole. No, let's throw in Coleman under the bus. It was a misunderstanding from a communication from Coleman to me. Let's put it that way.
You misunderestimated something, is what you did, wasn't it, Tim?
Misinterpreted the presence of Coleman or not, basically.
Well,
so hey,
I can confirm Coleman not here.
it's all right. Well, look, it's nice to have you back, Dan. So now
that's
we
all right.
have more concentrated portion of you this week. That's good.
Well, indeed. Well, I can tell you such fun tales as this week I have been mostly replacing the thermostats in my house.
Nice.
No, I know, right? But no, I've actually got smart thermostats down. They're actually pretty cool.
How smart.
Like, it knows when I'm not at home and will turn all the heating off.
Can it do its times tables?
I think it can.
Oh.
And it knows if I'm coming back home to get the heating on so I don't give it a slap around the face or something.
Is it locating you and knowing where you are?
Yes.
And hopefully not then communicating that information to potential burglars.
Look, mate, I've got a nice warm house and it's -2 outside. I don't care. I don't actually care. But the bigger thing was I didn't electrocute myself.
See, my flat isn't quite as smart as that. But it knows when I'm coming home because it knows when I come home.
Yeah, because you've set it to go off at a certain time.
With times and stuff.
Yeah, well, anyway, before this descends into a deathly dull home improvements podcast with Dan and Tim, two people who you would not want doing anything to your house.
No. Don't let us anywhere near any power tools.
Yeah, exactly. Although I was going to go, screw it, I'm just going to turn off at the fuse box, it'll be alright. I was like, no, there's a screw fix 10 minutes drive away. I should really get a multimeter just to confirm, indeed, I'm not about to just stick a screwdriver in a 240 volt terminal. So I survived. Be sensible, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm surprised you didn't get a butler to stick the screwdriver in there for you.
I considered indenturing a local inhabitant of Slough to stick their fingers in electric terminals for me, but even I felt bad about that. It's Christmas coming up.
And you can do without the lawsuit, basically, yeah?
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, so fine, yeah.
No one likes the smell of singed pauper in their house in the build-up to Christmas.
Not 2 years running anyway, Dan.
No, exactly right. If you were wondering, ladies and gentlemen, I am joking, okay?
He only burns poor people on the fire when it gets really cold, okay? Like, it's not like it's something that he just goes out.
I don't have a fire, Tim.
A likely story. That's the type of excuse that someone that burns the poor comes up with, on the spot.
Yeah, shall we move on? Let's move on. I think we should move on.
Probably to...
Big news!
Big news?
Big news, but not great news. Well, it could be great news or not great news, depending on your point of view. This thing called E3 that I understand you once went to.
Yeah, I once went to E3, Dan.
We once went to E3, but about 6 years ago, I understand.
Yeah, I picked a good year to go.
You did, where the PS4 and the Xbox One had just been announced. But it seems the days of big PlayStation announcements at E3 are behind us because, for the first time in the show's 24 history and the PlayStation brand's 25-year history, they're not going. They're not going. No, not even just we're not doing a press event. There's no press event. There's no show floor booth. There's no off-site Q&A with the press. There's nothing. They're not even acknowledging the existence of E3.
Well, one of the things is this was announced literally about an hour after we podcasted. It may have been announced while we were podcasting last week, so it didn't quite come into the news last week, but we're just picking up on it now. But that to one side, I'm not entirely surprised by this. In fact, I think I made similar comments when I was interviewed about E3 earlier this year, basically. But a lot of people, the headline got out there and it seems quite shocking, but it makes entire logical sense. For me, this is them just going, all right, Xbox, you first. You show your hand first, and we'll follow you. And probably blow you out the water. Now, I think Microsoft have a really big problem to go with now, basically. They have a certain time frame they have to work through, and they have to announce at E3 like that. Well, presumably that it was in their plans to announce their next console at E3. That's making some presumptions there.
And you reckon it's 2019 is where it's going to be?
I think they'll announce in 2019 for either release next year, or it'll be like early teaser type things, or even possibly not announcing it E3 but then announcing it later in the year to then be out for 2020. I expect consoles to be either out in time for Christmas 2019 or I was expecting Microsoft to possibly out for 2019. I was expecting Sony to possibly follow that afterwards, a period of time afterwards. And I've said all along that I expect the PS5 to be the one that launches in 2020. I just see that as a date that they like, as one that they pick out. This gives me a bit of pause for that because, I could see them waiting and seeing what Microsoft does at E3 and then responding to that even some months afterwards with their own, PSX style press conference and then possibly announcing it there. But then I would have thought that would be a bit ahead of where it was. I'm surprised they're pulling out this year, unless they're pulling out this year because they don't have the console to show this year. And that means that there's literally nothing worth showing this year, so it's not worth paying. And one thing we discussed previously is the way E3 works is however much space you want for next year has to be the space you had this year, almost, kind of thing. It's very difficult to progress upwards to sort of get more space than you had previously, basically. And once you've had that space, they're very funny about giving it back to you if you've kind of reined it back in, sort of thing. So you have to kind of stick to a certain amount of space from one year to the next. So them going with no space this year, for me, indicates they have no intention of going, not only this year, but no intention of going ever, possibly again.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's a sign of the times, though. Really, I do. And I think one of the things that it kind of gets them out of is because of the timing of E3, it means that kind of the announcements are in summer and the releases are in winter. And it may well be that kind of unhooking themselves from E3 means that actually they can spread their releases out, not only games but also hardware out throughout the year, and have a dev schedule that suits them rather than them chasing an externally imposed set of deadlines.
Yeah, and just an announcement schedule that suits them as well. They can choose when it suits them to announce them and when they think it will have the most effect. They've always been beholden to the E3 schedule and making sure they had things to announce for that, separating themselves from that. And they've probably taken a good look at what Nintendo have done with the Nintendo Direct and go, let's do that. It's a lot cheaper. It gets us as much attention and we can do it whenever the hell we want. So why wouldn't we?
Exactly.
The one thing I'm surprised at is that I expected them to make this move to possibly pull away from E3, either them or Microsoft or whatever, but I kind of half thought that they might wait till after the introduction of this console generation, because hardware is one thing that is a good thing to see, actually in the flesh, as it were, in the plastic, however you put it. But that's one of the reasons why the year I picked to go to E3, I think, was particularly a good year, because I got hands-on with both consoles and VR for the first time. And, that was 3 bits of hardware worth kind of reporting back on. This, to me, has a negative effect on E3, but has a negative effect for PlayStation as well. Okay, they can have a PSX event and they can announce it beforehand and they can still get quite a lot of fans there, but then they won't get as much of the press. And I'm not necessarily honing in on games press there, because one of the big arguments for E3 and why it was good to have a thing there and good to still be, proactively announcing stuff there was because that attracted the attention of the mainstream media every year. and maybe that's dwindling, maybe that hasn't held out as much. But then also, I think this is bad for the E3 event in itself and for attendees of E3. Now, one thing that I didn't particularly think of is it doesn't mean that there will be a zero presence from PlayStation on the E3 floor, because there will still be a load of games that will be demoing on the E3 floor on PlayStation consoles. So it's not like there will be, as I said, a zero presence there, but at the same time there will be no, official Sony presence, and they won't have any first-party games that they'll be pushing heavily, which I guess in the console life cycle kind of makes sense. But the one thing I'm not sure about at the moment is whether this gives more evidence to the fact that they're announcing the console in 2019, or more evidence to the fact they're announcing it in 2020. Because I think if they were doing it this year, they would have had one more E3 and announced it this year. I think this gives further credence to the fact that it might be pushed back even further than we think, kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, to me, it really is more of a sign of the times, I think, that increasingly, I mean, it's very much designed around, E3 is very much designed around the press, the traditional press media, where, it was their one opportunity to get everything in front of out in front of the written printed press in one go, get everyone in one place, and it worked a great deal. But now, actually, the seasonal news cycle of games is slowly breaking down. And is there a place for E3? And I think it's more the bell tolling for E3 than Sony necessarily, although Sony and their hubris has got them in trouble before, and I hope they're not about to do it again. There
is further evidence behind the scenes. I won't go into too many details, but basically, it's kind of public information, but Sony have let go a lot of their, and not necessarily senior people, but a lot of people in their demo teams and their PR side of things. A lot of people that have been there for a number of years and really knew the business and Sony very well. And they've been whole departments let go of type thing. So I fully expect not only will PlayStation be pulling back from events like E3, I fully expect them to be pulling back from, similar events in the UK as well going forward.
Yeah.
I don't see them having a large presence on any show floors this year, apart from what they seem to be doing, which is having a small PSVR presence at more shows than they would, because they know that's something that people need to see to kind of get interested in. And I can see that continuing on a slightly smaller scale. I don't think they'll be having the large, massive booths at. I'd be surprised if they had anything at Rezzed, because they don't normally do that much at Rezzed anyway, other than games being shown on their consoles. But I wouldn't be at all surprised if they're not at EGX this year, to EGX's detriment, possibly. This gives and this is the only real evidence I have of that, but this seems to give further evidence that seems to be a worldwide, company-wide kind of policy, that they're pulling back from events and demoing things in general for the next year or so, at least.
Yeah, well, we will see how things go, but I think, times are changing, and, I think this is probably the canary in the coal mine for E3, sadly. I mean, but it will be a shame not to have a big kind of central event in the games calendar every year, but at the same time, I can kind of see why people are moving to almost like the Nintendo Direct model, because they get to completely control the message.
And it's all pre-recorded. They don't have to worry about slip-ups and things going wrong on stage and all that type of stuff. So it solves a lot of problems for them. I also think that the expense is becoming not worth the return on the investment type thing. E3 is a very expensive thing, and they've possibly ended up pricing themselves out of existence, almost, kind of thing.
Yep. So there we go. E3, 'twas nice knowing you.
Yep.
I mean, I don't think, though, and we'll talk about this in a little bit later on, I don't think we're going to see the Xbox One 2 in this year. I think it's going to be 2020 we see it.
Possibly, and that time frame makes a bit more sense to me. At the same time, I think that Xbox are showing signs of already cutting their losses and licking their wounds from this generation and preparing for the next generation. And I think they definitely want to make sure that they get out in front of the next PlayStation. They want to be releasing beforehand. They will do everything they can to try and make that sure that's the case.
Well, we shall see. Who knows? I think it's going to be, it's properly going to be going into the unknown now, I think. I think what we're going to see Microsoft do is actually have a greater spectrum of Xbox consoles, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's almost a bit like the PC gaming setup, where there's kind of modular components you can swap in and out. I think that's probably where they're going to go.
I heard that rumour a while ago, but more talk that I've heard of recently sort of contradicts that. There's a lot of talk that the next Xbox and the next PlayStation are going to be, again, a bit like they were in this generation, but even more so because they're not designed, like, Microsoft aren't making the craziest decisions to veer off in certain directions, and Sony are playing it a bit safe. But it sounds like they're both going to have almost identical, similar architecture in the next consoles, and it will all be about the services and the games that come with that. And that's why Microsoft are really concentrating on buying up studios at the moment and making sure they have the software lineup to compete with Sony in the next generation.
But anyway, that's enough about E3, I think, because it's months away. But actually, what landed out the middle of nowhere kind of yesterday evening was a game that What award is it up for at the Golden Joysticks No Man's Sky? Is it the
most prolonged release window?
I don't know. It's kind of like Phoenix from the Flames. I kind of get the feeling. So this is update 1.75 of No Man's Sky, or No Man's Sky Visions, as it likes to be called. And Tim, I know this is going to make you happy. Do you know what they've added?
A point.
Rainbows.
Rainbows.
Yeah, there are Bungles there, Zippy and George, and it's a heartfelt tribute. It's a heartfelt tribute to Jeffrey from
bit of Bungle
from Robo. Yeah.
Didn't they have weather effects in there already?
No, they did, but these are
this is like added sort of things to that, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
You could have sun and rain, but without rainbows. Then I was guessing.
Yeah, exactly. So
okay.
But so basically, they're singing it from the rooftop, saying it's going to be a weirder, more surprising universe. Can confirm rocks will run away from you.
How does that work?
Because they've got legs, mate.
Rocks with legs.
Yeah.
Rock legs.
Yeah. They don't want to be mined. They don't want to have bits chopped out of them. They don't want it. No, they don't like it.
Are you sure they weren't Fraggles carrying rocks?
No, definitely. Nor were they roided up ants carrying rocks.
Good. That's good to know. But yeah, this literally came out of nowhere. They were like, it wasn't even it's coming soon. It was like, it's here kind of thing. It was like,
right. and the No Man's Sky subreddit promptly their pants in excitement because no one even knew this was round the corner. It was literally boom, here it is. And they have added some quite nice things. So there's now more kind of procedurally generated content in terms of crashed freighters on planets, which you can go and loot. There's mysterious buried artifacts indicating a kind of evidence of previous civilizations. You can also get new materials from hazardous planets. Ooh. There's new life forms. There are flowers that will kill you. It's not just rainbows. Flowers will
Deadly
kill you.
Flowers and rainbows.
Yeah. And there's also a kind of an update on how community research missions work, which means that you can actually share your progress and work towards a common goal, which is nice.
Nice.
And you can also launch fireworks. Because reasons.
But, celebratory reasons. Happy 4th of July.
Happy November 22nd.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Happy Turkey Day. But, this is relatively hot on the heels of their last major update called The Abyss, which really kind of amped up underwater exploration gameplay and stuff. So
Does this feel like bits that they were planning on releasing with that and didn't quite get finished in time?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you think that's possible? I mean, it's not a bad thing. It's just nice. It was a nice surprise for people of the game. The one thing I will say is, though, that I've been meaning to go back to the game. The one thing that's keeping me from doing it is I would like them to make the edition that I've been wanting for a year or more, basically, which is VR. Because I think that game would work really well.
No, there's a podcast for that.
The graphics would pop really nicely. It's in a cockpit. It's perfectly executable. It'd be very good. Anyway,
well, computationally, I think a PS4 would struggle to do it.
It's not the most complicated visually, is it, really? Do you think?
It's quite complex.
Okay.
I mean, either that, well, I say that. I think there's also, it's not very well optimized. I think that's probably mostly it, to be fair, because it does even stutter a bit on a fairly decent PC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess there's a lot of computational things in the setup of the actual environment as well.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I think it's up for like the most. I can't remember the name of it, but it's kind of basically the most supported after launch game, aka the took so bloody long to fix award.
When they sell that many copies and didn't really deliver on the promises that they sold it upon, they can kind of afford to back it up a bit, no? Like, yeah. I'm not saying I'm not having a go at them. It is still well supported and well done, and thank you for doing so, kind of thing. But at the same time, kind of like the amount of people that bought into that game deserve them doing that as well, kind of thing, no? So,
and it is, you can get it now for the price of free, which is the correct price. But it's nice to have seen a game evolve. I mean, a lot of that evolving arguably should have happened behind closed doors before it was released.
Evolve wasn't a good game, Dan.
No, I know it wasn't. It's also not the game that we were talking about, Tim. But thank you for your contribution. It's always welcome. Yes, we're an equal opportunities employer here at BigRedBarel. So what else is there? I think really that's about it for the news. There's not been a whole lot else. Pokemon still confuse me. I can tell you that now.
Yeah, that seems to be getting a bit of a mixed bag, mainly on the praise side of things. But the Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu seems to be pleasing. Well, it seems to be exceeding some people's expectations and not quite meeting some people others' expectations. But generally, it seems like a interesting product. Maybe. Yeah.
I'll tell you what's not.
What's that?
Fallout 76.
Oh no, we talked about that on the show last week because
I haven't played it, and dear God, it looks horrible.
Mr. Pac-Man Polar Bear was playing it, and he was reporting fairly early on the curve of people coming back on that. But yeah, it does seem to be that the general consensus is that is a hot, broken mess of boringness.
Yeah, exactly. They took all the good bits of Fallout
and threw them away.
They took them, threw them in a bin. And now you've got really quite tedious, quite tedious missions. Not even really a plot.
Co-op base building, Dan. How's that? No. I didn't want to do base building.
No.
So yeah. Anyway, look. Not to kick it while it's down too much. The one caveat.
Actually, the servers were down for most of it.
Well, yeah. But I heard multiple people saying that they couldn't even start the game up. Had multiple attempts at trying to sign in and just got kicked out straight away and gave up playing. That is not good.
It looks like arse as well.
Well, look, if you go back and see when it was announced and when we talked about it, I saw this coming a mile off, to be honest.
Exactly.
Online game by Bethesda.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Elder Scrolls Online is okay in terms of stability.
Wasn't at launch, if you remember.
Is very, very, very true.
But that is the one sort of caveat, olive branch type thing I'll throw them, is the fact that if it's supported for long enough and well enough, then I could see them turning this around. At the same time, though, will it get that level of support if no one's playing it and not enough people have bought it? And it does seem to be that the bad feedback of the game is harming the game sales. And then will that ever reach critical mass online and all that type of stuff? It's difficult to tell. And launching in a very crowded window with a very broken game is never a good plan.
Not happy fun times.
No.
Anyway, if you do want to laugh, though, the best thing about it is seeing the Jimquisition about Fallout 76. Can confirm that's the best thing about Fallout 76 is that Jim Sterling had a good old rant about it. Anyway, we're going to crack on with some points of interest because we're out of news. So, coming in the next couple of weeks, it's Destiny 2's Black Armory. It's launching December the 4th. This is the first of 3 premium content releases in the Destiny 2 Forsaken annual pass.
Is this going to fix Destiny 2, Dan?
I think Destiny 2's been pretty well fixed since Forsaken came out, actually.
Well, apparently Activision aren't happy and want to cram in some more microtransactions.
Yeah, exactly. Bungie, to be fair, seem to have grown a little bit of a backbone in response to demands from Activision, but Activision ultimately is the one who writes the check, so yeah, go figure. I think I'm probably being a bit reductive and harsh about it, but, you know, Destiny 2 is in a good place now. It's a little unclear exactly what these annual pass releases are going to be. It's not going to be the scale of Forsaken, so don't get your hopes up with that.
I have a question, Dan.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly, but what was because the contract to do with, you know, Destiny and their kind of roadmap for it got leaked quite some years ago, before Destiny 1 came out, I think. And I can't remember how many games were they signed up to. Was it 3 in total?
I believe it was.
So, do you think there is a chance that both parties may go, well, we tried, it didn't work, sod the third game? Or do you think the third game is inevitable no matter what?
I think it will go for 3 games. Here we go. So, right. So this contract dated May 21st, 2012. So it'll consist of a series of 4 titles released every other year beginning fall 2013. That actually started fall 2014. Expansion pack style downloadable content. So the big Comet releases as they're called. Right, so that was Taken King was one of those. Rise of Iron was ish one of those. Forsaken was one of those. And what's interesting is the only other thing is Activision retains the exclusive right to publish all Destiny titles. However, Bungie retains ownership of the IP. Activision could walk away, but Bungie could, if you know, assuming they could buy Activision out.
Which probably won't happen. So it would, by the sounds of it, then it only won't happen if Activision don't wish it to happen.
Yes, pretty much. So
probably unlikely.
Yeah,
I mean, likely I think that it will happen. Basically,
I mean, it's quite interesting that they're very much going after a different business model in the Korean and not yet, but probably soon to be Chinese markets, where it is just wholly microtransactions.
Oh, really? Is it free to play? And that makes sense in those markets, I guess. Basically, do you know how well it's selling there in that?
I must admit, the Korean game scene is one of my blind spots. I'm not proud to admit it, but I'd imagine it. I think it's doing quite well.
Okay.
So there we go. So they're going to do a reveal stream on November 27th, just after they've all recovered, stuffing their faces with turkey.
Reveal stream sounds naughty.
Yeah, it does. Don't worry, there's no golden showers involved. You'll be pleased to know, Tim.
No nipples on cam, yeah?
I cannot promise. I cannot promise a lack of nipples. Someone may have a wardrobe malfunction. For you, it sounds like that's going to be the most potential excitement you're going to get out the stream, aside from taking the mick out of me liking Destiny. It's a good game now, Tim. It's a good game.
Yeah, before you mentioned that, I had no interest in watching the stream. Right. Now...
tell you what, Tim, screw it. There's going to be nipples everywhere. Woo! Everywhere you look, there's going to be a nipple.
You heard it on BRB. Dan guaranteeing nipples on the Destiny 2 reveal stream.
They're renaming it Destiny Nipple, is what they're going to call it. But talking of stuffing your faces, Reggie Fils-Aimé. I still have no idea how to pronounce his bloody surname.
Fils-Aimé. Phil's Ames.
He has confirmed that no Nintendo 64 Classic is in the foreseeable horizon.
The very odd phrase of "not in our planning horizon."
Yeah, well, he does love his business speak, does Reg? It's not in our planning horizon means that I would imagine
horizon
in the next 3 to 5 years, it's not happening. But from what, if you read a bit further on in that interview, it actually seems that the whole reason they did the NES and SNES classics was essentially to stem the massive hemorrhage of goodwill they had with the Wii U.
Okay.
So to reintroduce people to the Nintendo fun times and warm fuzzy feelings.
And there's no point stuffing that up with the Nintendo 64 again.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I actually think it's quite a good idea. I think certainly the PlayStation Classic, the reception for that has been lukewarm, I would say.
Well, the implementation of that has been fairly lukewarm,
the implementation
I think,
was bloody lazy.
Part of the problem.
But I think 16-bit games have aged a lot better than
that is also
mid-90s.
I don't know about you. Out of all of them,
games.
with the PS1 kind of crashing and burning a little bit, like, I don't think I would have been more likely to pick up an N64 anyway. I still think the SNES is the one I'm most likely to possibly pick up at some point anyway, basically.
Yeah, no, me as well.
It is a nice looking little piece of kit kind of thing.
It is nice. He's tiny
little SNES.
Or you can pretend to be a giant man who's holding a Super Nintendo. It'd be like being Andre the Giant for a day.
What I want to do is get a normal size SNES and one of those and do the whole... This what SNES is close up. This SNES is far away.
So it's going to be me and you in a caravan having a Father Ted moment.
We need to do that.
No Dougal. These are small, but those are far away. Right, so that's Nintendo. Next up, Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is what I think they're going to announce at E3 2019 if they do indeed turn up. Apparently, and we heard this rumor about the Xbox 360, don't forget, at about this same point in its life cycle, that the new version of the Xbox One will release. I don't know if that's S or X or both, but it's apparently going to have no disk drive, and it's going to be cheap. Under $200, which makes me think it's probably the S.
I can't see this being the Xbox One X, because isn't one of the main advantages of that the fact that it can play 4K Blu-rays, which...
So it's probably the S.
This obviously won't be able to. So, yeah, or that sort of equivalent. Whether it does, like, 4K upscaling type thing and HDR and all that stuff, who knows?
But apparently, they're going for less than $200 for the price. This is all massive rumour, scuttlebutty goodness. But here's the thing that really made me raise an eyebrow, is that apparently if you can find a Microsoft store, a physical Microsoft store, they do exist, you can take a physical copy of a game, give it to them, and they will give you a download code for that game in return.
Okay, because that makes somewhat more sense, because when I originally heard the rumour, I didn't hear it with the Microsoft thing tacked onto it, and therefore this made no sense to me at all, because I was like, why would retailers do that?
I mean, they've got to have thought of a way to stop people just being dicks and borrowing games from people and trading them in. I mean, I'd imagine you must have to turn up with an original proof of purchase. Surely. No,
not necessarily. You can just turn up with a copy of the game.
So if I pop round your house, Tim, rifled through your game. If I rifle through your games case, I'm going to take that down the shop. I'm going to have me a download code courtesy of Tim. There'd be nothing stopping me.
It's really not worth the time and effort it would take to double check up on the receipts and the paperwork that comes with it and stuff. They won't care. If they've got a copy of the game, they'll give you a code.
Let's say you then ring Bill Gates up with some bloody miserable tale of, Dan went round my house and he stole an Xbox game and now he's got a digital code and I can't play Rise anymore, you it's not. Is it worth the bother, or are they just going to go, all right, you can have a download code as well? Download codes for everybody.
No, all right, but if you get Microsoft products stolen from your house, there is no way, shape, or form any guarantee that Microsoft will go around and go, oh, I'm sorry you had them stolen from your house. Here's a replacement. That's not how the world works, Dan. That's not a thing.
But you said they're going to have to do something to, stop that. If I had a stroke or something and nicked Rise from your house,
right? No. It's quite simple. If you have a physical copy of the game, you get a download code. If you don't have a physical copy of the game, you don't get a download code.
But what if I take someone else's physical copy and get a download code?
Then you're a thief.
Yes.
And you deserve to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law, but not arrested by the Microsoft police. Because that isn't a thing, Dan. That's not how the world works.
No, I know Microsoft don't have an arm in Interpol or something like that. Hell, not even the Russians can do that. It's topical humour. I don't know. I just think, perhaps I'm just being a cynical old but I'm just like, wow, that is a
Perhaps
seriously,
you shouldn't let people into your house to steal all your Microsoft games.
Well, I'm tell you what, I'm going to be a lot shiftier about people borrowing my games.
You've traded them all in anyway, Dan.
Well, this is an excellent point. This is next. Well, I think the only physical game I have a copy of is actually.
If someone breaks into your house and steals your Xbox games, my first question is, why the hell aren't you doing something more productive with your time-travelling machine, you idiot?
I know, right? Anyway, I think this has run its course. Tim's getting outraged about something. I'm not entirely sure. But talking about outrage...
Yes?
A Civilization 6 expansion is coming, and I know that you love yourself some Civ, don't you, Tim?
I have been very tempted to pick this up on the Switch, aside from the fact that I want some other time in my life occasionally.
Yeah.
Like I have to go to work and eat and stuff like that.
Yeah, I have to say, Civ on a Switch sounds like super happy fun times to me.
Or a recipe for never seeing daylight ever again.
Yeah, or a recipe for wallowing in your own feces until you die. Yes, but apparently there is some DLC coming out for it, an expansion, and it's called Gathering Storm. And the interesting thing here, and this is doubtless going to get the real lovely mouth-breathing people of the internet in a tizzy, is that part of the mechanics are global warming. So you can choose to burn a load of coal, burn a load of natural resources to kind of help you along the tech tree, as it were. But that has a negative effect eventually in terms of, the kind of the temperature of the planet starts to rise. You can't grow crops. It has a negative impact on the well-being and happiness of your civilization. So I think it could be quite an interesting mechanic, actually.
That does sound like an interesting mechanic. It sounds like it kind of fits in with the setup of the rest of the game. The one thing I found a bit strange is the developers coming out and going, "Oh, we're not making a political statement with this." It's like,
Well, it's scientific fact, ergo not a political statement.
Right, but when...
Don't go all Trump on me, Tim. I will come over to Finchley and end you.
I'm not... No. I'm not going to go too Trump on you. But that's part of the problem, yeah? Like, climate change does influence politics, and politics does influence climate change. They are two intrinsically linked things.
No, but climate change is a scientific fact.
Right, but a scientific fact that politician arseholes like Trump claim doesn't exist, despite the overwhelming amount of evidence burning its way through his country that kind of claims otherwise, basically.
Well, science can't be held responsible for Trump being a moron.
I appreciate that much. But yeah, what I'm saying is, I don't think you can release something like this and not have an intrinsic link to politics. It's not a political statement in itself, but it is making a statement to politicians and to, people that discuss politics.
Do you know what I secretly hope they do? That they add, because there are going to be, I think, new leaders, new historical leaders. It would be amazing if there was a Trump one and it just burns everything.
What, a Trump one that's absolutely impossible to win with.
Yeah, absolutely. And as an opponent, you've just got no idea what they're going to do ever. That'd be quite amazing.
That would work. Work quite nicely.
That would be brilliant. And really awkward UI because your little hands can't use a mouse properly. Yes.
Why is that yellow-haired buffoon building a wall on his southern border?
Do you know what? I really wish the Tango adverts from the mid-90s were still about. Because that was basically a fat orange man. With him, yeah, a fat orange man. Oh, no, you've been tangoed. Anyway, so that's Civ 6. I think it's one of the things, I wouldn't be surprised if there's already a mod for it on the PC, but that would be incredible if they had a Trumpian civilization, which was just the most banal, vapid, self-interested, nationalistic piece of arse known to man. Anyway, Tick-Tock Tim on Brighton News. Tick-Tock Tim. I colour me interested on this.
Yes, well, it's a game you should be interested in. It's one that Coleman and I spoke about EGX, having played it there, and it's just interesting kind of mechanically and also interesting from a technological standpoint, basically. Tick-Tock, for anyone that doesn't remember, it's a game that it's a co-op game, and it's very much like being cooperative in your communications and what you're seeing on screen and what the person you're cooperating with sees on screen is not necessarily one and the same. So you have to kind of communicate the differences of what's happening or communicate the similarities of what you're seeing on screen. Yeah, it's a game split into two halves. Like, one person is playing the first version of it, and the other person is playing the second version of it. So with that, though, you can actually play the two versions alongside each other on different devices. So you can play, like, not only cross-platform, basically, from Steam and iOS, which are I think the two things they're coming to. Also, the reason why I'm mentioning it at the moment is it's just going into open beta, or it's just announced that it will be in open beta soon. So you can try this from December the 10th until January the 7th. So you have to play it on two separate devices, but you could play it sort of, on an iOS device and a Steam device in the same sort of place. But it's
or two iOS devices and two Steam devices.
It's kind of designed so that you should be playing those on those two devices so that you can't see each other's screens, and it's very much designed around that mechanic. And it's not impossible to play sitting side by side, but it's as I said, kind of designed so that you've got to communicate what's going on, and you've got to solve like puzzles and the kind of overall mystery of what's happening and what's going on and that type of stuff. So Coleman and I came away from it like quite impressed, and it's a slight different approach to co-op, and we thought it was quite interesting. Definitely one to look out for. To join the beta, I think you have to join the Discord, which is Discord GG /other tales.
Yeah, discord.gg /other tales.
Yeah, /other tales. But yeah, we'll try and put the link up in the show notes as well. But yeah, as I said, worth having a look at. It's an interesting game that's a little bit different, and definitely worth, especially if you've got a co-op partner to play it with, and a good one to play alongside with someone that doesn't normally game that much as well, possibly. But yeah, interesting and worth trying out while it's in beta to see if it's something that floats your boat, basically.
Splendid. So I've literally this second gone and joined their Discord channel.
Oh, good man.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, I shall hopefully be getting on some of that beta goodness before you can say something. Something. Yeah, there we go. I'm on it, mate.
Get
all over it like a rash. Anyway, so in this, we'd be somewhat remiss in our duties as podcasting people if we didn't recognise that all of America is currently deep frying a turkey in a bin. Because that's what they do this time of year.
All over the place.
Yeah, they love them. They love them. They love putting a bird in a bird in a bird is what they love.
And while we're on the subject, Happy Turkey Day to all our American listeners.
Happy Turkey Day.
Hello.
Be thankful, you
We are thankful you are listening to us. You should be doing better things with family and friends, but thanks for hanging out with us and saying hello.
Exactly.
So, yeah,
yes, indeed. Yes, you should be you should be thankful that other nations of the world continue to tolerate your president. Congratulations. Anyway, with that comes sales, because presumably people would run the risk of having a heart attack by placing extra strain on their body by carrying cash about in their pockets. So they've got to get rid of all of their money in one go. Hence Black Friday. And man alive, are there some gaming deals for you.
And we should point out that there's obviously, individual retailers you can go to that are all doing their Black Friday deals and stuff like that. But we've mainly concentrated on a few prices that you can get from the official stores online and stuff, basically. So, yeah, that's where we've mainly had a look at.
Absolutely. So, with that being said, you don't even need to go to a shop these days to go and spend money. It's amazing. Something called the internet. And Nintendo have just discovered it, and they want to sell you some stuff over the internet.
Yep. So
they sent me and Tim a very big long list of a number of titles that are on sale. And we've picked out a couple of good ones for you, we think. Anyway, so annoyingly, I can't be bothered to do what percentage saving these are off the top of my head. I might just load up the calculator app. There we go. So starting off, we have Super Mario Odyssey, which you'll be able to pick up on the eShop for £33.29, which is a saving of 33%.
Oh, that's not bad. I mean, worth pointing out because, it's a great game. I'm thinking of picking this up because I played a bit of Coleman's before I picked up my own Switch. Does mean I have to start again from the beginning, but hey.
And that is Tim, who hates fun, saying he wants to play a platform game.
Yeah, and this is, it's just a fantastically well-designed game. Even if you don't particularly like Mario games, it's worth picking up, especially at that price. It's not often that the Nintendo sort of first-party titles are that heavily discounted, even though I would have liked it a bit less than that by now. They don't often come down from the regular price of £50. So yeah, that's not a bad price.
Nintendo have only just worked out how the internet works. Don't stress them out, mate. Don't put extra things on their plate. But on that note, back to normal form. You can get Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild for £42. That is its sale price on the Nintendo eShop. May I recommend that you buy a physical copy from somewhere?
The only problem with that is that's probably a good price for a physical copy. You'd be lucky to get it for that price. Most of the time I see it in the shops, it's still full price. Basically.
Good game's good.
Yeah.
You can also get Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze for £33.29. That is a third off. Mm-hmm. And a game that both me and Tim think is a little bit of a hidden gem in the eShop lineup, and that is Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle Gold Edition.
I love that game. It's great.
Such a good game. Such a good turn-based strategy game.
Yeah, I think it's one of the only sort of full price Nintendo games that I've played start to finish type thing.
Yeah, it's a corking game, and it's good stupid fun as well. And I'm a man who hates Rabbids. They really annoy me.
They're in
the same bloody family as bloody Minions, mate. I can't be doing with that. I cannot be doing with it. But anyway, they are quite actually lovable and fun in their own way in Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle, and you can get that for £30, which is some money off its usual price of £50.
Yeah, again, would be nicer if it was lower, but it doesn't often go that low, so worth having a look at.
But it's a corking game. It really is an excellent game. That you can also get FIFA 19 if you want to play the same game again that you've been playing for the past 20 years. Tim's going to be talking about that a bit later.
I'll be talking about it in a minute. Just note that it is a tad bit cheaper in the sales on PSN and I believe Xbox as well, but it's a couple of quid extra on the Switch tax type thing. But,
it is. Yeah. So it's the very random price of £36.84 on sale, which is a third off its usual price of £55. You can also get both of the South Park games on Switch, but for some bizarre reason, and me and Tim talked about this before the show, is why they didn't do a bundle of both games with the DLC for £40 or something, because I would have picked that up.
Yeah, I would have picked that up in a heartbeat. For me, they're both really good games. I think they'll both be a really good fit on the Switch, and it seems slightly out of character and wrong. I know we've had South Park games on Nintendo consoles for decades, but there still seems something naughty about playing a South Park game on a Nintendo console to me, kind of thing. You know what I mean? I don't know. But also, yeah, gameplay wise, I think it'd be a great fit. But it's difficult when they're two games that I've already played to completion. It's difficult to justify a near full price, not even full price purchase, but a big investment of money into two games that I've already played through without the DLC, and then the DLC adds even more to the price. So yeah.
So that's it. So you can pick up the Fractured Butthole for, he says,
$29.99,
and you can get the Stick of Truth for
$17.99.
And another little one which I really reckon you should check out is the little kind of overhead roguelite shoot 'em up called Enter the Gungeon. You can get that for £5.49, and that is a great little game. That's £5.50 well spent.
Yeah, I might have to pick that up for that price. I think that's a bit too good to resist.
Yeah, and it's a corking game, that. So next up we have X-Bones.
X-Boners, as you've put in the...
Hey, I would like to tell you, Tim.
Yep.
You, young sir, can be the proud owner of Red Dead Redemption 2 Special Edition. It's going to be discounted from its usual price of £74.99. What I'm going to give you, Tim, I'm going to give you the deal of the century. I'm going to sell you that £75 game for £71.25.
Wow!
I know, right?
That is... Didn't even knock a fiver off.
I know, right?
Stingy
I know. It's like, I mean, I know it's popular, but, it's a little bit of... Just sell it for its normal price. Don't take us for mugs.
Yeah, I know.
That is a 5% saving. 5%.
Gits.
But do you know what other recent release is already a third off, which is doubtless a reflection of the high-quality, massively multiplayer experience that it brings in a post-apocalyptic world? And that's Fallout 76. It's already a third off, but don't do it. Don't do it, ladies and gentlemen.
No.
The much better shout if you're on your Xbox One and you want some Fallout goodness for a good price, just go and get Fallout 4. And you can get it for £12 on sale. That is infinitely the infinitely better choice. Don't.
Probably still rather have Fallout 3, but still.
Yeah, I probably would as well. But, whatever you do, don't buy Fallout 76. It is a broken mess of a game.
Until they fixed it, not worth paying.
Yeah, exactly. And another one worth getting if you haven't got this is you can get The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Game of the Year edition. So that's got all of the DLCs.
Oh, with all the DLC. Oh,
for £17.50.
That's a meaty DLC. By the sounds of it, like one of those bits of DLC is probably worth £17.50.
Yeah, if you haven't picked up The Witcher yet and you want to get in and are willing to sacrifice several hundreds of hours of your life, you can do so for the low price of £17.50. And what have we got on Sony PSN, Tim?
Right, there is a fair bit on there. I've picked out some particular highlights just because... they're all three games that if you don't own already at this price, as far as I'm concerned, it's a forget. Just do it. Just don't even think about it. Right. I picked up God of War. I'd already played it to completion, but I was playing Coleman's copy, so I wanted my own copy because it turned out to be one of my favourite games of all time. And so yeah, for $24.99, I thought that was irresistible at that price. That is the digital deluxe edition, which I think is the only one that you can buy, but it comes with the comic and a few extra bits and bobs as well. So yeah, I thought that was very much worth picking up. Likewise, Spider-Man is down to $34.99 or $44.99 for the kind of digital with everything type thing. Also, just note as well that the DLC seemed to not go on sale on the same day, but seemed to creep in afterwards. But the DLC pack is like for all three bits of DLC is $11.99 as well, which is a good deal. Especially as the second piece of DLC, Turf Wars, came out today or yesterday, I believe. I haven't started that yet, but
it's got good write-ups left, right, and centre.
Yep, yeah, and from the first two bits, that seems like all three bits are definitely worth £12, basically. And yeah, if you haven't picked up that game or if you haven't picked up the DLC, both worthy bargains. Also, I'll just mention it and sneaking in, and Dan hasn't noticed I'm about to talk about another PSVR game. We're going to get away with it, people. We're going to be okay. But Astrobot is down to $19.99, and again, that is an absolute no-brainer at that price. It's one of the best things on PSVR. Also, just I'll note while that's doing there are some really good Black Friday deals on the Astrobot PSVR bundle as well. So you can get the PSVR, the camera, the Move controllers. I think the base set comes with Astrobot and the kind of I've forgotten the name, but the demo disc has got like 5 different games on it as well. Well, it's not the demo disc; it's the one that's got like a few taster game type things. But yeah, that whole pack is like £180 at the moment, and that is a steal for that price. So yeah, that's something else you might want to pick up in that as well.
Splendid. And yeah, but definitely God of War. I am going to go and pick that up like you've never seen me pick anything up before. Because yes, I really want to play that game, and that is an amazing price for a game that everyone says is amazing. So I'm sure it is indeed amazing.
Yes, it is.
And then of course, because it's a day with a Y in it, there's a Steam sale going on. And there is all kinds of good stuff with ridiculously large amounts of money chopped off them, including you can get a Steam Link for £2.
Oh, that's
so
stupid.
You can stream PC games to your TV for £2. But there's all kinds of games with great offers on. I mean, there's too many really to list, quite frankly. But you can get Watch Dogs 2 for £15.
Oh.
You can get Fractured But Whole for £12.49 on the PC. Nier Automata for £20. Far Cry 5 for £25.
Okay.
Goat Simulator for £1.79.
I think Far Cry 5 is on sale on consoles at the moment as well, so...
Yep, so do shop around. Borderlands 2, £5. Fallout New Vegas, £2.63. Wolfenstein: A New Order, £4.94. So there's all kinds of good stuff out there. You might have to do a bit of digging to find the best deal the best deal for you. But yeah, good stuff. Go and add. If you're anything like me, you're just going to be adding games to the arse end of your pile of shame, and you know you're going to play them sometime in 2037. So good stuff. But no matter what platform you play on, unless it's Ouya, because that's talking shit, FIFA 19. Tim, talk to me about it.
I've saved this for when you were back on the show, Dan. You'll be pleased to know.
Thanks, mate.
I have been playing it for a while. Could have spoken about it a bit ago, but I decided to save it just for you, Dan, because I know how much you're keen and interested on it.
So why should I give to be fair, though, I did quite like the FIFA Ultimate Team.
Oh,
I did quite like that because it was... You actually had to think about the kind of the players you were getting, how best to use them, rather than just kind of, hey, here's this football team with all the best players in the world.
Right, okay, I don't get into the Ultimate Team stuff. I also don't like supporting the game as much because that is definitely leading to increases in child gambling, as far as I'm concerned, basically. And it is a thing that they market gambling to children through. So I'm not very keen on promoting the game overall, or I'm less keen on promoting the game overall because of that, basically.
Okay, fair enough.
So, and I don't know if you saw the reports in the press today that gambling has quadrupled in the UK. Children gambling has quadrupled in the UK in the last 2 years. And a lot of people are putting that down partly to FIFA being a part of that. Also, people getting access to online betting things and stuff like that as well. So, you know,
I mean, it's a predatory business model. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah, and I at the moment I am not happy about talking about FIFA without prefacing it with that up front, basically, because I don't like their business model and I don't like the way they're doing things. As a consequence of, I didn't pick up FIFA this year. I ended up renting a copy on the Switch, partly just to see what it was like. A lot of people say it's a slightly nerfed version of the kind of major console brother, and I just kind of wanted to see how it compared. And it's graphically not quite as impressive, and you can tell it's not quite on the same engine, but it does sort of replicate the modern kind of feel of FIFA 19 to me, in terms of you kind of need to be aware of the position you're making on the pitch and kind of passing around people and passing into space and stuff like that. There was a time when if you press the pass button, it would almost automatically pass past someone no matter where they were stood in relation to you, and that does seem to have, you know, something that they've concentrated on developing into the game, and you have to be more aware of your positioning and the kind of, you know, the physical constraints of trying to pass through someone and stuff like that, basically.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Is this just not the same game that you've been playing for countless years, and there's actually very little to recommend it over the previous version?
Look, you could say that about a lot of FIFAs. I do think that FIFA
yes, you could. You're right.
Right, but FIFA in the last couple of years, I think, has actually made more significant progress in its engine and the setup and the way it operates than it has done in previous years. I think it's taken that criticism on board a bit. It's also probably got a bit more budget through the Ultimate Team stuff, which is why I kind of let that run a little bit further than I possibly should have done. And then they've taken that rope and hung themselves with it. But yeah, like the one thing I was saying, I haven't gotten the Ultimate Team stuff, but the main mode that I play in that and the main mode I enjoy is a thing called the Master League, basically. And that kind of for me, I actually got to the point the other day where I'm like, I actually prefer the other bits of this game than actually playing the football matches a lot of the time. Like, I can get into it sometimes, but sometimes I get to them and go, I could take or leave this match. I don't care about playing Wolves at home. I just don't care that much. But yeah, generally, like, I think having it on the Switch does what I thought it would do for me, and that means it kind of makes it more available to me. Like, it's very much a game I can pick up and play while I'm watching something else, kind of thing, especially when it's like in between matches and I'm doing the thing that I probably enjoy the most, but I don't need to be fully concentrating on 100% of the time. I'm also playing it on like a semi-pro level and generally battering the teams that I'm coming across, which makes it a more casual kind of pick up and play game for me as well. But yeah, the Master League thing does have that element of, okay, you pick your team, but then you're also, constructing that team, signing new players and kind of managing the team as well, basically. To the point where I've actually considered turning the gameplay off or just simulating all the games and just going from the management style of things. But yeah, like, I think being on the Switch does, as I said, make it a game that I can more easily play more of, basically. And
presumably you can set the match length to be approximately one trip to the turdy plops.
Yeah, if you wanted to. I mean, I think it probably takes a little bit longer than that, basically, to play a game. I mean, yeah, on a slightly easier level, you can probably get away with that a bit more as well. But yeah, tighter games do make it more difficult to score in generally, although at the moment I'm tending to win, like, well, the easy teams I tend to beat like by double figures a lot of the time, type of thing. So I'm scoring like 10 goals a match.
Wow. So I hope I'm as cool as you when I grow up, Tim.
Well, no, that's not cool. I'm not making it very easy. Damn. I should possibly turn it up harder, but for me it fits into that nice space. But for me, I've played a little bit of this year's version, but not that much. But from what I've seen in comparison, yes, it's not quite as technically adept as its bigger brothers type thing. But for me, what it gives me in return for what I lose for having it on the Switch is worth it. It's a good proposition and good exchange for me, just because it's something that I'll end up. I thought I would end up playing more of, and that does seem to be working out and being the case, basically. So,
well, yeah, there we go. Slap me on the bum and call me Charlie. Actually, don't.
Yeah, I wouldn't. If you've heard from other people that this game is lesser than its other things and therefore you haven't picked it up, I wouldn't totally discount it just because of those factors, basically. And yeah, and I've been enjoying playing it and it's been good. So yeah,
jolly good. So now you've not only stuck football in here, but it appears to be the latest PSVR. We haven't got long, so you're going to have to be quick. Tetris Effect. Why the hell would I want? I've just watched a trailer of this, and it looks like I might actually die of epilepsy if I played this game on a VR headset.
You might, and I heard some tales of some of the developers in 90s clubs a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, oh, okay, that let's say some of the rumours to do the development of Res may be entirely true. But putting that aside for a second, anyone that doesn't know, Tetris Effect refers to the kind of phenomenon of like seeing Tetris after and aside from playing it, basically. So you'll still see the falling blocks coming down, and that's a known psychological effect, that kind of lasting impression that Tetris can leave on your brain, basically. And this is kind of playing on that and playing into that a little bit as well. It's designed by Mitsuguchi, who previously designed Lumines when he failed to pick up the Tetris license previously. And
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and that's where that game came from. But everything that he learned through the process of that, I think, has fed into the production of Tetris Effect, and all for Tetris Effect's benefit. Like, it is a audio visual delight.
The first question I have for you: is this best experience on PSVR, or can I just play it on a good old bog standard PlayStation?
I have heard a number of people say that they are getting all the enjoyment they need out of it just by turning up the volume and playing it on their TV. And I think this
and sitting 2 inches away from their TV screen.
And I think this will have a good effect in doing that. And
I see what we did there.
Yeah, well, and it'll be an effective way of playing it entirely. I have heard a number of people that have the option available to them say that PSVR is the way to play it. It's more immersive. Like, there is the whole thing of, like, the screen refresh rate's a bit higher than most TVs, so it'll actually, like, if you're a really high level Tetris player, this will actually help you be better at the game slightly. But, like, that's not something that's going to concern most people that are playing the game. For me, it's the level of immersion and just, I don't know. It seems, I hate to use the word experience, but it seems like more of just an experience to be in the game.
Is it a visceral experience?
No, it's not particularly visceral. But
right. Well, that's one thing.
Yeah, but it's a kind of, that audio visual thing being all wrapped around you is just something like, and I literally, I was ill last week. I've been ill for the last couple of weeks. And in fact, I was ill like from the day it was released. I was really off about that, because playing PSVR while having a cold is not a good combination, that I've discussed previously. And I only wanted to play this in PSVR. Like, going through the journey mode, which is the kind of main mode that unlocks different levels as you go, I did not want to do that first time through without playing it in PSVR, just because I wanted to have that experience not kind of spoil or ruin for me. I was even avoiding, like, watching videos online of it before I'd played through all the different levels and stuff like that, because I didn't want any of the levels.
You were worried about spoilers for Tetris.
Yes, and but that should.
You are an idiot.
No, but that should show, like, how much stock. Like, it for me, like, part of the appeal of Lumines, whatever, was the different skins that came along with those different things. The different levels. And that's very much like part of the enjoyment of going through that journey in the journey mode that's there. There are many different modes that I haven't messed around with as much. I had a go on a few of them in the demos. I've mainly been concentrating on getting through that journey mode. And I have really enjoyed the game, and it's really good. I have found more frustration than I think I would have normally done, just because I am very much aware that my illness is affecting my ability to be good at the game. You know, it's one of those games where it may be a relaxing experience. A lot of people talk about this as a Zen experience, I think. It's really not. Like, it assumes that you are quite good at Tetris. And then it challenges you a bit on top of that, basically. And I generally think I'm a reasonably good Tetris player. I don't think I'm high level, world class type thing, but reasonably good. I like my puzzle games. I like Tetris. I've played it for whatever it is, 20 odd years or so. And then the rest maybe. But then, it's a game that I love and really enjoy. I would say that this is the second or best version of the game ever.
With the first being the Game Boy one, right?
That is the only one. That is the correct
answer.
That is the only one that could possibly challenge for it, basically. But this adds a level to it that wasn't in that original game. It's that musical thing. It's that bringing Lumines into Tetris, basically, and that for me just seeing that realised is fantastic, basically, and it's fantastically well done. Like, the one thing I'll say about the journey mode is it's can be frustrating to play at times, and I don't know if some of that frustration's come out of me being, as I said, ill and not fully on it when I was playing it. But like, you'll have a different tune, and then the speed will alternate throughout that tune as well, basically. And if you don't know like how those different changes are going to come about before you play the level, like, it can be very much a case of, oh, well, I'm screwed now and I didn't know that was going to be the case, kind of thing. And a little bit of trial and error in that, but that gives some real nice variety to the different levels that you come across and the challenge within those levels as well, and just how that all ties in with the music and how, like, moving the actual pieces and dropping the pieces into place makes different musical effects, like it did in Lumines as well. And yeah, all of that just blends together in an expertly crafted like audio-visual delight, basically.
So you can play it on a normal PlayStation. PSVR is optional. How much does this bad boy cost?
I think it was $34.99.
Yeah, that sounds a lot for a Tetris game.
I've seen a few people complain about that, but I don't know. Like, I and this may be me personally, I would have paid £60 for this. Maybe don't tell them that. But like, this is one of the first games on PSVR that I would have been like, I would have gone, £60. Yep, have my money. Throw all my money at the screen. That's fine. And although it can be played entirely separately with PSVR, and if you have no interest in PSVR, still pick up the game because it is that much of a great game. But for me, this is another good reason to own a PSVR. Like, if you own this game already, it's added to the library of games you've got.
To be fairness, it being 3 in the afternoon to you is a reason to own a PSVR. So
that is also true. But,
anyway, Tim, before you carry on another 20 minutes talking about Tetris, it's worth getting, right? Tetris is Tetris. This is new Tetris. Tetris is still good. Tetris is awesome. Tetris is shiny Tetris, and shiny Tetris shininess is shiny and awesome.
But there's also
Tim. This was not an invite to continue talking.
Just the one thing I want to add to that.
Oh my god!
Just about the price point is that there is quite a lot of content to the game for the $34.99 that you get in return, and there's like content that surfaces on a weekly or not, it won't be there all the time kind of basis as well. So it definitely worth picking up.
Jolly good. Shut up your face. Fantastic. Right, so that is it. Pretty much for the show, because we thought it was going to be a quick one, so it wasn't. Sorry, Coleman.
My fault.
So before we go, Tim, you're just going to have to remind me that Tuesday is indeed Tuesday.
Tuesday is indeed Tuesday.
What's going on this Tuesday?
Barrel through this kind of quickly, but anyone doesn't know Tabletop Tuesday, we have each and every week. This 27th of November, we have a feature game, and if you play that feature game that evening, you can win a copy of the game at the end of the night. This week's game is Dragon Ball Z Super Card Game.
Oh my god, right.
It's a trading card game, collectible card game type thing for 2 players. Think a bit like Pokemon, but with Dragon Balls rather than pocket monsters. But more details on the top left-hand corner of BigRedBarel.com, and you can join our Tabletop Tuesday group on Meetup.com as well.
Splendid. Jolly good. Well, you should go and do that. And that is Loading Bar Dawson, right?
Yes, indeed it is.
Jolly good. So be there or be somewhere else entirely. Now, I must admit, we've got a bit out of whack with our shout-outs, so we're not going to be doing shout-outs today. I know we didn't do them last week, but just think there's going to be a big bumper shout-out section coming up in the podcast near you.
Just thank Stingo, Stealthy Joe and Nelly, because they always need thanking.
Oh, yeah, they're always there.
And Nelly's been lovely this week, and I know you're having a tough time at times, so a big shout-out to Nelly and lots of love to you.
Much love to Nelly. And screw. All right, Rob Evans and Freya Goddard as well. There we go. There are shout-outs after all. We've got no idea when they came from, but well
could
done
be from the past.
Well done, all of you, for interneting like pros.
Yes.
So there we go. Well, that's it for this show. We're limping towards the end of the year, and I've got to decide. I've actually probably got to play a game that isn't Destiny 2 to put on my Golden Barrel Awards list. But all of that is progressing apace. So So thank you for downloading us once again. Sorry. It's only a 2-man show. I hope we're going to be back to 3-man goodness at some point soon. I don't know when. Schedules have been a bit of a problem, but hey, such is life. Right, so that's your lot. Thank you for downloading us. Thank you for listening. Make sure you go to www.bigredbarel.com or internet/.thing/BigRedBarel, and you shall find us no matter where we lurk. I suppose all that's really left to do is to remind you that I've been Dan.
I might have been Tim.
Indeed, you might have been. And this has been a podcast. So thank you very much for listening. And until next time, dear listeners, toodle bye.
You and your ears are quite welcome.
For the podcasting goodness that you just heard.
Why not roll on over
To BigRedBarel.com
for more podcasts,
news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet. BigRedBarel.com